There's a moment electric and terrifying when the mask finally slips, when a manipulator realizes you truly see them. Not just their charm or act, but the darkness behind their smile. You've caught a glimpse of their shadow in motion. And now they know that you know. That's when everything changes. But most people miss what really happens next. Carl Jung discovered that when someone's carefully built persona cracks, they don't disappear, they strike. They launch what he called shadow projection, turning their inner darkness outward and aiming it straight at you. Stick with me, because what you're about to learn will completely change the way you deal with toxic people. Jung spent his life digging into the depths of the human mind. What he uncovered about manipulation is shocking, but more importantly, it's freeing. If you've ever felt used, or finally saw someone's mask fall off, this is for you. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how Jung's teachings can protect you from emotional warfare. They twist the story. First, they flip the script. Jung taught that when someone's shadow, the hidden, darker part of their psyche, gets exposed, they instantly deflect. They don't own it. Instead, they paint you as the dark one. The second, a manipulator realizes their mask isn't working anymore. They don't retreat, they escalate. Jung called it shadow projection, where people fling their own toxic traits onto others like psychological grenades. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're too sensitive. You're making things up. They act wounded, hoping to throw you off and make you question your own instincts. Here's the brutal truth Jung uncovered. Those who won't face their own darkness will always force others to carry it for them. It's not just denial, it's strategy. Their mind is literally rewriting reality to protect their ego, and if you fall for it, you'll end up doubting your own sanity. But what happens when that tactic doesn't work? They pretend nothing happened. Jung said that every person wears a mask, a social role, but when a manipulator's mask slips, they don't take it off, they just act like it never came loose. After being exposed, some manipulators go totally quiet. Not because they're ashamed, because they're calculating. They might reappear with a casual, "Hey, how are you?" or comment innocently on your post, like everything's normal. According to Jung, this is the mind's way of avoiding the painful truth. Instead of facing their shadow, they act like it doesn't exist. They're testing you to see if you'll play along with their version of reality, and that hits you in your softest spot. The hope that maybe people can change, that maybe you misjudged them. But it gets worse. They work behind the scenes. Third, they start to quietly undermine you. Jung found that when people can't own their shadow, they'll try to turn others into a reflection of it. They create what he called a collective shadow. When someone toxic knows their act has failed, they panic. Their power was in your confusion. Now that you're clear, they're afraid, and that fear turns into destruction. They won't attack you head on. They'll start whispering behind your back. "I'm worried about them. They haven't been themselves lately." Jung found that manipulators instinctively know how groups think. They plant subtle doubts in others' minds while keeping their mask on. They poison the well, and they do it in secret. But if that doesn't work, they change dramatically. Here's where Jung's insight gets chilling. He found that manipulators know how to shape themselves into your ideal. He called it the anima and animus, the image of who you want them to be. So when guilt and silence don't work, they morph. They don't argue or lie anymore, they transform. Suddenly, they're caring, insightful, reflective, maybe even apologetic. They say things like, "I've been doing a lot of thinking," or "I really want to change." But Jung warned us, sudden, extreme shifts aren't growth, their control tactics, it's not a breakthrough, it's a defense. Their ego is fighting to survive, and you're the lifeline. And this, more than anything, can be confusing. Because deep down, you want to believe they've changed. But if you look closely, it's not real. Then comes the subtle sabotage. Fifth, they test your limits but quietly. Jung discovered that manipulators have an uncanny sense for your boundaries, and they know how to test them without setting off alarms. Once they sense they've lost control, they don't rush in, they sneak. A late-night thinking about you message, a vague comment on your story. Little things, but Jung said these aren't innocent. They're emotional probes, silent tests. This is where most people fall back into old patterns, not because of a big betrayal, but because the pressure was so familiar, so subtle it just felt easier to reply than resist. But Jung taught something powerful. The only real boundary is the one you hold when it's hard, and if even that fails, they isolate and discredit you. This is where the manipulator's tactics become most dangerous. Jung called it social shadow projection. When nothing else works, when guilt, silence, charm, and shame all bounce off you, become their enemy. And not just privately. If they can't make you carry their shadow, they'll try to make everyone else do it. So they move behind the scenes and begin whispering, just like they always do, just enough to plant doubts. That's all it takes. It's rarely a direct attack. It's a slow, psychological erosion. They start painting you as distant, unstable, difficult to be around. And Jung discovered why this cuts so deeply, because it taps into one of our most primal fears, being socially abandoned. You'll start noticing shifts. People who once checked in go silent. Invitations stop. You wonder if you're imagining it. You're not. It's real, and it's deliberate. Designed to make you question yourself. Designed to isolate. But here's what Carl Jung taught that flips everything. According to Jung, your authentic self, what he called the individuated self, can't be destroyed by other people's projections. It only grows stronger in their presence. Insight was this. The more time you spend trying to manage everyone else's shadow, the further you drift from your own center. But the moment you stop doing that, start integrating your own darkness, something shifts. You become immune to their games. Jung revealed the ultimate form of protection against manipulation, shadow integration. When you face your own darkness, when you own it without shame, no one else's shadow can stick to you. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't chase down lies. You don't scramble for allies. You just keep showing up as you, steady, whole, grounded, because truth, as Jung put it, always rises in the end. Manipulators aren't usually trying to destroy you instantly. Their real goal is to wear you down slowly until you break, give in, or fall silent. But when you've integrated your shadow, you become untouchable. Here's the truth. Jung spent a lifetime uncovering, in a world obsessed with masks and performance. Being your true self is radical. Self-knowledge isn't weakness, it's rebellion. Your integrated shadow becomes your armor. Your individuated self is your answer. Jung said it best. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. But for those brave enough to do that work, it's also the most freeing thing you'll ever do. And if you've been through this kind of psychological warfare, let me tell you, you're not alone. Every single time we choose truth over performance, honesty over approval, clarity over confusion, we move closer to what Jung called individuation. And that's the one thing a manipulator can never touch. Have you experienced this kind of shadow projection? Share your story in the comments. Your truth might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. Thank you for being here with me. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it.